The clanging of swords and trumpets resonated through the courtyard, pulling Elias from his dreams. Groaning, he rolled over and opened his tired eyes, squinting against the morning sunlight spilling through cracks in the wooden walls. Today was his 18th birthday, the day he would finally become a knight of Arendor, or so he hoped. "Elias, wake up already, you lazy goose." It was Rowan, his older brother, banging louder this time on the chamber door. "I'm coming!" Elias shouted back. He sprang to his feet, hurriedly pulling on his worn trousers and rust-colored tunic. Excitement churned alongside nerves in the pit of his stomach. He knew becoming a knight was more than sword skill and strength. It was also wisdom and honor. As he stepped outside into the bright courtyard, he paused, breathlessly viewing the massive statues towering above him, dragons carved from pure stone, guardians of the kingdom of Arendor. Their wings spread wide, their stone eyes fierce yet protective. Since childhood, Elias admired these legendary creatures, guardians who once protected humanity from unknown darkness. "Elias, over here!" Rowan was beckoning toward the weapon racks, eyes gleaming. As Elias approached, Rowan threw a wooden training sword into his brother's chest, grinning mischievously. "Today's your big day," Rowan said, positioning himself for a sparring bout. "Can't have you looking like a fool in front of Sir Lorien. Show me you've learned something." They exchanged blows, each clang echoing across the practice ground. Elias fought carefully, his movements precise yet cautious. Despite Rowan's strength and experience, the brothers were close matches, constantly challenging each other. Today, however, Elias felt strangely empowered, his grip firm, his stance solid. Suddenly, cheers and claps from other trainees arose as a figure in polished armor approached. The brothers ceased sparring immediately, sweat running down their brows. Elias's heart thumped heavily as Sir Lorien, commander of the knights, halted near them. "Today begins your trial," Sir Lorien announced, his voice solemn yet powerful. "But there's been troubling news. Scouts report rogue knights are threatening our protectorates, seeking out the dragons." Whispers of disbelief rippled through the group. "Why would anyone threaten the dragons?" Elias asked boldly, stepping forward. Eyes turned toward him, and Sir Lorien met his gaze fiercely. "There are forces at play you know nothing about, young Elias. Dark forces," Lorien said firmly, yet a curious flicker crossed his stern face. "Today your bravery and loyalty to Arendor shall be tested before all." Spurred by the urgency in his mentor's voice, Elias felt fire ignite within his chest. Dragons had protected Arendor for centuries, their ancient pact ensuring peace and balance. What kind of madness threatened that balance? A sense of duty ignited inside him, stronger than ever. He sheathed his practiced sword, shoulders set, resolve hardening. "So be it," he whispered solemnly to himself. "I will defend our protectors, whatever it takes." Beside him, Rowan placed a supportive hand on Elias's shoulder, pride and concern in his eyes. "My brother," Rowan said quietly, determination etched on his face. "If there ever was someone ready, it's you." Dawn arrived cloaked in early mist, shrouding Arendor in ghostly silence. Elias stood at the gate, his small pack slung over one shoulder, sword strapped firmly at his side. Sir Lorien had assigned Elias and a small scouting party to ride for the outer edges of the kingdom toward Dragonspire Mountains, home to the dragons. Rumors swirled of betrayal and danger lurking there. Rowan stepped forward, handing Elias his horse's reins. His expression was stiff, hiding worry behind a reassuring nod. "Remember what we've practiced," Rowan said firmly, though his voice slightly trembled. "Stay alert. Return with the truth." "I promise," Elias answered softly, gripping Rowan's arm tightly, a silent vow that he wouldn't fail. Beside Elias stood Seraphine, one of Arendor's youngest knights, bright-eyed and known for her courage and wisdom. She patted her mare calmly and flashed Elias an encouraging smile. "You're going to do well, Elias. Trust yourself," she said firmly, eyes confident yet warm. "Move quickly," Sir Lorien commanded, his voice piercing the morning chill as he approached, his dark cloak billowing behind him. "The fate of Arendor may rest upon what you uncover." Elias nodded sharply, heart pounding at the weight of Lorien's words. They mounted their horses and set forth, hooves drumming the muddy roads, dust rising in their wake. The countryside slipped past as they galloped toward the looming shadows of the distant mountains. Over several days the party traversed forests, crossed countless streams, and journeyed deeper into the wilderness. Nights were cold and filled with whispers of rumors and dread among scouts. Fires crackled, pushing off creeping darkness, but never entirely dispelling it. Finally, the jagged peaks of Dragonspire rose tall and mighty before them. Legends whispered these mountains had been forged by dragon's fire. The sight filled Elias with awe, curiosity, and fear. There, Seraphine pointed to a disturbed valley entrance ahead, horse-pawing nervously as though sensing unseen danger. Tattered banners waved limply in the wind, torn and discolored, unfamiliar but clearly hostile. "This doesn't look good," murmured Darian, the scout guiding their path, his narrowed eyes scanning carefully ahead. Drawing their swords and readying their bows, they cautiously descended into the valley. Smoke curled lazily from fires unattended. Abruptly, an anguished roar echoed off stone walls, shaking Elias to his bones. With a clenched jaw, Elias jumped from his saddle and crept forward, motioning quietly for the group to follow closely but silently. From a rocky vantage point, he saw a vision that made his heart stop. Shackled to the mountainside, writhing in pain, was a dragon of colossal size, brilliant scales dulled by chains forged in strange glowing metal. Figures in unfamiliar armor moved about the imprisoned beast, chanting unknown incantations that chilled the air. They seemed to siphon energy from the dragon itself, weakening it with every whispered word. Rage boiled inside Elias's chest like a storm. "What madness is this?" Seraphine gasped softly, eyes wide with horror. Elias knew instantly. They had uncovered something deadly, deeper and darker than they ever imagined. He steadied his trembling hands, gripping his sword tighter till knuckles whitened. "We have to act fast," Elias whispered fiercely, voice firm with determination. "We must save this dragon and find out who dares threaten the Covenant." Even as fear gnawed within him, Elias knew his true test began now. The fate of dragons, and perhaps all of Arendor, depended on what came next. Elias's breath came shallow and rushed, his mind racing with possibilities. He watched the figures below closely, observing their patterns, seeking an opening. "Stay calm," whispered Seraphine, sensing Elias's distress. Her voice was a steadying anchor. "We won't free the dragon unless we keep our wits." He nodded slowly, composing himself. Darian crouched beside them, carefully estimating numbers. "There's nearly a dozen down there. That strange armor, I've never seen anything like it." Elias squinted carefully, noting the dark metal etched with runes glowing faintly with unnatural magic. It repulsed him deeply. "Does anyone recognize the symbols?" "No," muttered Seraphine gravely, tightening her grip on her bow. "Whatever these people are, they're no friends of Arendor." Frustrated and driven by curiosity, Elias searched the surroundings for an advantage, eyes landing on an elevated ledge directly above a heavy iron chain anchoring the helpless dragon. Thick and sturdy, the chain seemed indestructible, except for one place where it appeared slightly worn, perhaps weakened from the dragon's frantic resistance. "Darian," Elias whispered urgently, gesturing at the weak point. "That chain. Can you hit it confidently from here?" The seasoned scout considered carefully, then nodded confidently after a silent pause. "It's tricky, but yes, I can make that shot. But we risk angering those wretched knights." "We have no choice. The dragon needs our help," Elias insisted. "Seraphine, Darian, you're our best archers. Try to sever that weakened point. I'm going around to distract them." "You'll what?" Seraphine hissed, eyes wide with alarm. "Trust me, we have one chance at this," Elias countered firmly. Something inside his chest burned fiercely, a reckless bravery he didn't entirely understand, but it felt right. Before Seraphine could argue, Elias hurried along the steep hillside, hoping to position himself opposite the mysterious warriors. His pulse raced threateningly, but fear was overshadowed by urgency and determination. Reaching position, he stood tall and shouted down, voice echoing defiantly through the canyon. "Stand down and leave this place! You have no right to hold a guardian of Arendor captive." The warriors whirled angrily, startled by his sudden appearance. Their leader, armored strikingly in black steel and adorned with an emerald cloak, stepped forward menacingly. When he spoke, his voice resonated deep and threatening. "You meddle with power you do not understand, boy? Stand down, or perish." "Maybe you're the one that doesn't understand," Elias yelled passionately, secretly watching behind them. Darian and Seraphine had drawn and aimed their arrows, the bows quietly tensed. "Your insolence will cost your life," the knight snarled. signaling his men to move forward. "Not today," Elias shouted defiantly. 2 arrows simultaneously whistled through the air, striking perfectly, weakening the chain with an explosive snap. The chain dragon roared triumphantly, shattering what remained of its bindings with newfound strength. Chaos erupted below as the warriors scrambled before the vengeful, fiery rage of the great beast. Suddenly, the black-armored leader's eyes met Elias's fiercely, almost like a promise of vengeance. Elias knew this wouldn't be their last meeting. In the chaos below, Seraphine gestured urgently for Elias to regroup. They dashed further into the mountainous cover, heartbeats echoing thunderously in their chest as shouts and the dragon's fierce cries faded behind. "We've stirred the hornet's nest," said Darian grimly, as the scouts regrouped, hidden safely behind rocks. "It had to be done," Elias replied firmly, still shaken but filled with newfound clarity. Then, through the clearing smoke, golden eyes focused on him intently. The freed dragon had landed gracefully ahead, motioning Elias to approach. Elias stepped cautiously forward and knelt respectfully. A deep voice filled his mind, gentle yet powerful. "You have my gratitude, young one, but there is much you must learn. Evil grows within Arendor's shadows, danger nearer than you know." Shivers ran down Elias's spine, understanding and dread pooling within him. He looked into the dragon's knowing eyes and spoke quietly. "Teach me. Explain what threatens us. Help me save Arendor." The dragon inclined its majestic head slowly, a silent agreement forged between guardian and protector. Whatever awaited, Elias knew there was no turning back. Night settled coolly upon the mountainside as Elias, Seraphine, and Darian sat near a fire beneath the dragon's watchful eyes. The rescued dragon introduced itself as Varian, ancient sentinel and keeper of hidden truths. "You have questions, Elias." Varian's deep, rumbling voice resonated in Elias's mind. The dragon's golden eyes sparkled in the flickering firelight. "Speak them freely." Taking a steadying breath, Elias squared his shoulders. "Why were they trying to capture you? Dragons have protected Arendor throughout the ages. Why would anyone break the sacred balance?" Varian's eyes grew solemn as he settled gracefully, scales shimmering faintly under the moonlight. "Greed and fear, young one. There is a hidden power in dragon magic. Those knights wear armor marked with forbidden runes. They serve someone ambitious and dangerous enough to drain that ancient magic, seeking dominion over the world." Seraphine leaned forward, eyes wide with disbelief. "That's impossible. Who dare challenge the dragons and risk destroying peace?" "Their leader," Varian continued gravely, "is a dark wizard they call Morvain, long ago banished from the circle of mages for harnessing forbidden shadow magic. Morvain seeks revenge upon Arendor and its people." "Shadow magic?" Elias murmured anxiously. "I thought that was only myth." "It is dangerously real," Varian rumbled deeply, his voice heavy with lament. "Morvain commands powers that twist and corrupt all they touch, like those soldiers." "Then we must warn Sir Lorien and the Knights of Arendor immediately," Seraphine said urgently, standing abruptly. "Arendor's safety hangs by a thread." "Wait," Elias interjected thoughtfully. "If Morvain has spies and allies infiltrating our homeland, none will be safe. We need proof, evidence strong enough to convince Arendor to rise against this threat." Varian nodded his immense head slowly. "Wisely spoken. Westward, within these mountains, hides the Whispering Library, ancient repository of secrets managed by Elder Dragon Ilmara. If you can reach the library, you may find the proof needed to reveal Morvain's plans and rally Arendor to your cause." Darian stood, pacing anxiously. "A hidden library in these mountains? Few have even heard of it, let alone located it." "I can guide you safely there," Varian insisted calmly. "Ilmara will grant you access, for your quest aligns with her noble principles." The group exchanged determined glances, understanding silently passing between them. "Our path is clear," Elias proclaimed resolutely. "We'll seek out this Whispering Library and unearth the proof needed to save dragons and kingdom alike." Darian and Seraphine offered determined nods. Elias felt certainty harden within, mirrored by Varian's golden gaze. Standing beneath the infinite blanket of stars, their resolve bound together stronger than ever before. "You have true courage," Varian said approvingly. "But beware, the path will be fraught with peril. Morvain knows you interfered once and will hunt for you tirelessly. Stay vigilant." "We will," Elias promised solemnly, meeting Varian's eyes, knowing now what was truly at stake. The very heart of Arendor and everyone he loved depended upon their success. Their journey was far from over. In truth, the greatest challenge lay ahead. But tonight, under starry skies and with newfound allies, hope shone bright, illuminating the darkness. The steep, icy paths into the heart of Dragonspire Mountains proved treacherous. Led by Varian, they journeyed cautiously through narrow gorges shadowed by jagged crags that towered overhead. The wind whispered warnings in ears that strained to hear threats, while icy gusts cut through cloaks, chilling bone deep. Seraphine glanced warily toward Elias, pulling her cloak tighter around her shoulders. "I'm starting to understand why few look for this library. It's as if the mountain itself resents our presence." Darian smiled grimly. "Or it seeks to test our determination." After days of difficult climbing and limited rest, the group abruptly rounded a bend, stumbling upon an immense opening carved effortlessly into the mountainside, dark stone intricately etched with an ancient script. "The Whispering Library," Varian announced reverently. His golden eyes glowed with respect. "Home of Elder Ilmara, keeper of Dragon's Chronicles." Gathering courage, Elias stepped forward into the cavernous entrance. Immediately, he felt a hushed stillness and the scent of old books mixed faintly with torch smoke filling the air. The soft whisper of turning pages caressed his ears, though no living beings appeared visible among endless towering shelves stacked impossibly high. "Who dares disturb my sanctuary?" A powerful yet calm voice echoed through the immense library. Descending gradually from above, brilliant in azure and silver scales, Elder Dragon Ilmara appeared before them gracefully, her ancient gaze falling carefully upon Elias. "Elder Ilmara," Elias began respectfully, bowing his head humbly, "we approach seeking knowledge to protect Arendor. Morvain, a dark wizard, threatens our lands, enslaving dragons and stealing ancient magic." Ilmara sighed deeply, sorrow filling her wise eyes. "Morvain? Long have I feared he would return to wreak havoc upon our world once more." Darian exchanged worried glances with Seraphine. Elias stepped forward earnestly. "If you know him, please help us find evidence, proof we need to reveal him. Without proof, our people won't believe." Silently, Ilmara turned and guided them patiently deeper into her library until she paused, carefully selecting a tattered ancient scroll secured behind luminous glass. Murmuring words in a tongue foreign and magical, the glass dissipated, releasing the scroll which she gently handed to Elias. "This document reveals the truth you seek." Her voice grew weighty. "Morvain once conspired to overthrow Arendor, attempting to control dragons' magic for devastating power. His ambition corrupted knights and mages alike, dividing our lands and threatening destruction before the Dragon Covenant banished him. But the evil in his heart festered, promising vengeance. Now, Morvain seeks to finish what he began centuries ago." Elias gripped the scroll, dread pooling inside him. "How can we stop him now, Elder Ilmara? He's already begun enslaving dragons, like Varian." Ilmara's gaze sharpened seriously, her voice resolute. "Morvain harnesses shadow magic, feeding on corruption and pain. To defeat him requires bravery, purity of spirit, and the ancient arts nearly forgotten, even among dragons. Only together, with dragons and good-hearted souls united, do you stand a chance." Determination flared fiercely in Seraphine's eyes as Darian set his stance firmly. Surrounded by allies, Elias felt stronger than ever. "Then we'll unite Arendor," Elias vowed passionately, conviction ringing clear. Ilmara lowered her monumental head approvingly. "Remember, young Elias, the victory lies not in weapons or spells, but in courage, wisdom, and unity." As they exited the Whispering Library, compelled by purpose clearer than ever, Elias knew they carried not just a scroll, but also a renewed hope, powerful enough to change fate itself. The descent from Dragonspire Mountains proved easier now, buoyed by renewed purpose, yet anxiety lingered heavily in Elias's heart. Dark clouds gathered ominously overhead, mirroring the dangerous battle awaiting them back in Arendor. As they reached the foothills, Varian landed silently, golden eyes grave. "I must rally my kin," the dragon rumbled solemnly. "Morvain's power grows swiftly. Only united can dragons hope to survive." Seraphine stepped forward respectfully, her voice firm yet gentle. "Varian, we're honored to fight alongside dragons for Arendor's sake." Elias nodded fervently. "Tell your kin, we stand as one." Varian inclined his majestic head respectfully, spreading immense wings before soaring skyward, vanishing swiftly into darkening skies. "May our alliance hold strong," murmured Darien quietly, eyes fixed on the dragon's distant form. The group journeyed hastily toward Arendor, sprinting through shadowy woods and familiar paths until sprawling stone walls rose solemnly ahead. Yet something felt wrong. The usually bustling streets seemed ghostly quiet, filled only with wary whispers and suspicious eyes. Fear lingered thick in the air. Suddenly, several city guards rushed forward, weapons drawn. Elias felt confusion crash through him, shock freezing movement momentarily as the captain leveled his blade threateningly. "Halt! You're under arrest for treason against Arendor and conspiracy with enemies of the crown." "Treason?" sputtered Seraphine in disbelief, stepping protectively forward. "We've only risked our lives protecting Arendor." "By order of Commander Lorien himself," warned the captain, eyes cautious and conflicted. "I have orders. Submit peacefully." Trusting his instincts, Elias raised his hands carefully, signaling his companions to comply warily. They surrendered their weapons reluctantly, allowing guards to bind them, minds buzzing frantically. Betrayal cut deep, his faith wavered. Had Lorien truly turned against them? They were marched hastily through hushed, staring crowds toward towering castle gates. The endless steps felt unbearably heavy, until at last, chained and unarmed, they stood within the imposing throne room beneath the icy gaze of King Alden, and beside him, Commander Lorien. Lorien stepped forward, his face sternly unreadable. "Elias, Seraphine, Darien, you stand accused of siding with traitors plotting to overthrow Arendor by aiding dragons against your kingdom." Elias straightened boldly, heart racing but voice steady. "Commander, you taught us courage and loyalty, not fear. You and the king are misled. We've returned bearing proof that Morvain, an enemy long forgotten, has risen anew, threatening all who dwell within Arendor." King Alden's severe expression faltered slightly, curiosity seeping into narrowed eyes. "Show me this so-called proof, young squire, and tread carefully. Truth alone will save you from the executioner's blade." Carefully, Elias retrieved the precious scroll from his cloak, bound hands trembling yet steadying once more as he stepped forward, laying the document gently at King Alden's feet. Court scholars quickly descended upon the parchment, eyes widening in shocked reverence. Yet Elias focused solely upon Commander Lorien. The usually stoic knight seemed torn, uncertainty briefly revealed beneath his sternness. Elias stepped forward. "Commander," Elias spoke earnestly, eyes imploring trust. "You trained me, guided my hand. I'd stake my life upon the truth we've brought. For Arendor's sake, we must unite against Morvain." Lorien paused deeply, taking a long breath, finally nodding slowly with the gravest acknowledgement. "Indeed." Lorien turned decisively toward King Alden, voice firmly confident. "We cannot ignore what is so painfully evident. Arendor is betrayed, not by Elias and his companions, but by our own blindness. We must rally our strength now or face ruin." King Alden nodded solemnly, rising proudly upon his throne, a fierce resolve lighting his weary face. "Sound the call," Alden commanded with powerful authority. "Arendor prepares for war against Morvain's darkness." Relief flooded Elias, joined swiftly by sober responsibility. As trumpets roared, warriors mustered, and a kingdom awakened urgently, Elias stood firm. For soon they'd fight not merely for dragons, not just their home, but for hope itself. Arendor swiftly transitioned into preparation, with smiths forging blades, archers gathering arrows, and knights relentlessly training. The kingdom had awakened, unified against their dark adversary. Elias felt the weight of responsibility intensely with each passing hour. Days blurred together in the bustle. Elias trained tirelessly alongside Seraphine, Darien, and Rowan, the brothers reconnecting fiercely after Elias recounted his journey, proud determination shining brightly in Rowan's eyes. Late one afternoon, against the backdrop of setting sunlight, trumpets blared suddenly outside city gates, breaking their training sharply. Elias sprinted toward ramparts hastily, pulse quickening with every urgent step. Emerging from twilight shadows, dozens of dragons swooped majestically from skies painted in vibrant twilight colors, their massive wings moving in synchronized waves. At their head was Varian, golden scales shimmering brightly like living embers. Instantly, excitement and dread alike spread through Arendor. Elias and his companions swiftly gathered among awed crowds as Varian gracefully descended, his massive frame landing meticulously yet powerfully before King Alden himself. Varian inclined his noble head respectfully toward royalty, rumbling deeply. King Alden, my kin pledge alongside yours. Dragons and humans will stand unified as we did in ancient times. Morvain cannot divide or defeat us. King Alden stepped forward boldly yet respectfully to Varian's immense form, declaring powerfully before all gathered, "Today, dragons and humanity renew our sacred covenant. We face our greatest test united, as allies and friends against darkness itself." Cheers erupted spontaneously around them, echoing encouragement throughout Arendor's streets. Yet amid celebration, Elias silently understood, alongside this triumph awaited immense challenge. Later Varian summoned Elias privately, beneath stars speckling dark skies. "Your courage has rekindled a forgotten alliance." Varian's voice resonated approvingly. Yet sadness lingered quietly beneath his powerful tone. "Know this clearly. Morvain's shadow magic feeds upon fears, doubts, and buried weaknesses. Battles will be lost or won within hearts and minds, as surely as upon fields." Elias considered these words carefully, worry shadows clouding his gaze momentarily. "I have doubts, Varian," he admitted softly. "I'm no knight or dragon. I'm simply a squire who wanted only to serve my kingdom, unsure how this burden fell upon me." Varian exhaled gently, golden eyes gazing deeply into Elias's troubled soul. "No legend or hero possesses invincibility, Elias," Varian murmured wisely. "Strength lies precisely within doubt and humility. Embrace your vulnerabilities openly, accept they exist alongside bravery. In so doing, Morvain holds no sway over your courage." Inspired anew by Varian's wisdom, Elias straightened toward the dragon resolutely. "I pledge once more, Varian, I will give my all. Arendor's cause lives within me." Varian regarded him solemnly, deeply proud. "Then remember clearly, you never stand alone. We dragons fight beside humans fervently, to final breath." Confident determination flooded warmly through Elias, understanding profoundly what awaited. Morvain's evil shadow loomed near, but immensely powerful hope remained steadfast. Unity among dragons, across humanity, and within Elias himself would see them safely through whatever darkness lay ahead. Dawn rose bleakly on the horizon, shrouded in a heavy mist that blanketed fields around Arendor. Elias stood atop the city battlements, fixated on the horizon, breath crystallizing in the cold silence. Behind him were gathered knights, soldiers, and townsfolk alike, shoulders set and faces etched with grim determination. Varian landed gently beside Elias, his large golden eyes scanning the shadows with profound awareness. "Morvain approaches. I sense his foul presence moving closer. His numbers are great, his magic darker still." "Let him come," Elias responded, his voice vibrating with unmistakable strength. Determination saturated every word. "We're ready." As if summoned by their words, the mist stirred unnaturally, swirling violently as shapes began emerging, silhouetted ominously in dawn's gray light. Morvain's army, twisted armored knights whose humanity had long since been drained, marching forward in unsettling formations beneath banners bearing Morvain's sigil, the sinister emblem etched in red on dark fabric. From within the shifting mist, Morvain himself appeared astride a massive steed, his figure cloaked and ominous eyes glowing faintly beneath his hood. Raising a single hand, Morvain halted his forces, riding forward alone toward Arendor's gates. "Hear me, people of Arendor," Morvain's commanding voice echoed toward the city walls, carrying clearly despite the distance. "I have returned to right ancient wrongs. Hand over the dragons willingly, and spare yourselves certain annihilation. Resist, and chaos awaits." Elias stepped forward, projecting boldly, fierceness alive in his gaze. "Arendor refuses your corruption, Morvain. We stand united, dragons and humans bound by honor. You will find nothing here but your downfall." Morvain laughed coldly, the sound void of warmth or humanity. Then, pulling back his hood, revealed a gaunt face marred by deep lines, eyes reflecting cruelty and darkness. "Fool, unity is a brittle illusion easily shattered. Do your worst, it will never be enough." Turning back toward his army, Morvain raised clenched fists skyward, and dark energy crackled around him, swirling violently. Abruptly his troops lurched forward, raging fearlessly toward the city gates. "To arms!" Commander Lorien thundered from atop the battlements, instantly shaking warriors from silence to adrenaline-fueled action. Dragons sprang into the sky, knights surged forth with swords gleaming, and archers took position, launching arrows that hissed venomously through mist and chaos. Elias breathed deeply, heart pounding, drawing strength from the courage around him. "Stand strong, Arendor!" he shouted passionately, hearing Seraphine and Darien rally fiercely alongside Rowan, unified in defense. But the battle raged brutally. Darkness swept relentlessly forward, Morvaine's shadow magic corrupting and weakening those it touched. Elias fought through exhaustion, worry mounting as warriors around him fell. Amidst battle, something uncomfortable clawed within Elias. Morvaine's threat of shattered unity felt frighteningly real. Varian, sensing Elias's internal struggle mid-battle, landed forcefully nearby, eyes piercing urgently. "Remember, Elias," Varian intoned insistently, powerful voice vibrating within Elias's thoughts. "Unity stands unwavering as long as hope remains steadfast." Taking those words deeply to heart amidst chaos, Elias stood stronger, his sword flashing determinedly through shadowy enemies once more. "Varian's right," he shouted, strength returning passionately. "Arendor fights as one, never forget that." His voice resonated clearly, igniting renewed courage amid the fray. But even still, Elias knew this raging surge was only the battle beginning. The war itself stretched dangerously forward, its outcome uncertain as Morvaine's dark laughter echoed hauntingly across the battlefield. Chaos raged across the battlefield as Morvaine pushed his forces onward relentlessly, shadow magic erupting violently around him. Elias desperately battled exhaustion, rallying warriors to resist Morvaine's crushing advance. "We have to end this now!" Seraphine shouted over the din, dodging blows and parrying strikes swiftly as shadows clawed toward her. Elias scanned the fray urgently, heart dropping suddenly. Morvaine was now locked in combat with Varian, who struggled fiercely under waves of corrupted magic. The ancient dragon heroically resisted, shielding others, but Elias could sense the strain mounting rapidly. "No!" Elias gasped, recklessly racing forward amidst the chaos, driven solely by desperate instinct. Seraphine, Rowan, and Darien hastily followed close behind, determination etched in grim features. Elias maneuvered swiftly toward Varian, whose scales now bore wounds from shadow strikes, golden eyes dimmed but still defiant. Elias brandished his blade boldly at Morvaine, trembling yet fiercely resolute. "Face me, Morvaine! Your tyranny ends here today!" Morvaine turned slowly, eyes glinting cruelly. "Brave youth," he sneered mockingly. "You're far too weak to challenge me." Undaunted, Elias lunged mightily toward Morvaine, sword meeting shadow magic explosively, blasting hot sparks skyward. Morvaine retaliated furiously, magic blasting Elias backward forcefully. Pain seared Elias, breath fled his lungs painfully as he struck the ground. "Elias!" Rowan shouted, charging instantly toward Morvaine and unwilling to abandon his brother. Darien and Seraphine rushed forward simultaneously to cover him, swords clanging fiercely once more. Shaking away dizziness, Elias staggered upright, steeling himself against piercing pain. Beside him, Varian struggled upright shakily, breathing labored but powerful voice rumbling. "Together, Elias, we stand together." Elias steadied his shaking limbs, drawing on buried resilience and Varian's unwavering determination. Morvaine fought furiously, laughing mockingly, rallying shadows aggressively. "Weaklings, unity will not save you from darkness." Fierce determination set Elias's jaw resolute, voice filled fiercely with righteous defiance. "Unity is everything, Morvaine. It gives us strength that you'll never understand." At Elias's side, Varian inhaled deeply, mustering immense inner strength. Golden eyes blazing furiously, the dragon roared defiantly, golden fire erupting powerfully through encroaching shadows. The fierce light clashed violently with Morvaine's magic, pushing back corruption briefly, offering precious relief to embattled warriors. Inspired by Varian's tremendous resilience, Rowan, Darien, Seraphine, and all Arendor renewed their desperate struggle, rallying courageously. Morvaine faltered momentarily, shadows retreating slightly as he fought exhaustion. Yet hatred filled his gaze entirely, aimed squarely toward Elias. "Fools," Morvaine spat venomously, barely composed, eyeing Elias spitefully. "Very well. If unity means that much to you, I'll ensure this farce is fully extinguished." Elias braced himself, gripping his weapon tighter, knowing both his own strength and unity among allies would soon face their greatest trial yet, one that would cost dearly but was unavoidable. This was no longer merely a battle. It had become a desperate fight for hope itself. Morvaine gathered darkness nearly overwhelming in intensity, and Elias tightened desperately, prepared for whatever fate awaited, standing united beside dragon and humanity against encroaching despair. Morvaine's power surged ominously around him, a swirling tempest of shadow and despair. Elias felt its chilling force tugging at his spirit, draining courage and hope. Yet the bond of unity among those who stood bravely together was strong, too strong for any dark magic to easily shatter. Gathering himself, Elias stepped forward to confront Morvain directly again. Beside him, Varian raised his wounded form, golden scales glowing defiantly. "You truly think you continue to withstand me?" Morvain bellowed mockingly, incredulity mixing with rage. "I have broken kingdoms greater than yours." "You've forgotten the very source of our strength, Morvain," Elias shouted resolutely, voice carrying distinctly above the battlefield's chaos. "It's not kingdoms or power, it's trust, the courage of friendship, our shared purpose, that you will never understand." As Elias spoke, the warriors of Arendor rallied fiercely beside him, knights, archers, villagers, and dragons alike. Even Varian found new strength in Elias's passionate words, raising his head high, eyes blazing brighter than ever. Frustrated, Morvain stretched forth his hands, releasing a final desperate wave of dark shadow magic toward Elias and his allies. It rushed forward like a storm, howling with devastating force. Yet Elias stood his ground, gripping courage desperately. Behind and around him, his companions stepped firmly forward, forming an unbreakable wall of unity. Varian, Rowan, Seraphine, Darian, all leaned into the shadowy storm, hearts shielded only by mutual trust and bravery. Morvain's dark torrent crashed upon them, but instead of breaking them, it fractured upon their determined resistance, strands of shadow dissipating harmlessly into the air. Astonishment flashed briefly in Morvain's eyes, immediately replaced by blind fury. He stumbled slightly, gasping in sudden weakness as his magic wavered. Seeing their chance, Varian surged forward fiercely, golden fire blazing anew, encircling Morvain. The dark wizard screamed, shadows withdrawing further, his power visibly waning. "Now, Elias!" Varian roared urgently. "Only together can we finally finish this." Summoning every ounce of strength and courage he possessed, Elias charged forward swiftly, sword raised to strike decisively. Beside him, Rowan, Seraphine, and Darian followed, blades glowing with resolve, their determination united in their mission. Morvain tried desperately to summon shadow magic to protect himself, but his corrupted strength had exhausted completely, failing him at last. With combined determination, Elias and his allies landed a powerful, decisive strike together, ending Morvain's darkness forever. The enemy army faltered immediately, shadows unraveling rapidly without Morvain sustaining them, leaving only empty shells of twisted armor behind. Exhaustion overcame Elias as he dropped to his knees, breathing deeply, relief flooding him entirely. Varian landed heavily next to him, head bent in gratitude and respect, scales shimmering with victory and pride. "You have done well," Varian murmured gently. "Arendor owes a great debt to your courage, Elias." Looking around, Elias saw Arendor's warriors and dragons alike, faces etched with relief, wariness and joy equally clear. Rowan approached swiftly, clasping his brother's shoulder firmly, pride shining brightly in his eyes. "You've done it, brother," Rowan said quietly, voice heavy with emotion. "You've truly become the knight our kingdom needed." King Alden emerged from the castle gates, his posture dignified, eyes filled with deep respect. He approached Elias solemnly, voice reverberating powerfully throughout the silent battlefield. "Today, we have seen unity achieve what pure strength alone could never accomplish," King Alden stated proudly. "Dragons and humanity stood as one, our covenant renewed stronger than ever by courage, friendship, and sacrifice. Arendor will forever remember this day, and we shall rebuild together, forever grateful to heroes like young Elias." Cheers erupted triumphantly across Arendor, unified voices joined joyfully. Amidst victory, Elias understood profoundly. The true power of any kingdom needed no wealth nor army. It was unity, trust, and unwavering spirit. Arendor's peace had been sustained once again by bravery, forged anew upon bonds of courage which no shadow magic could ever extinguish.